in this video, I'm going to cover and review the Vermeer painting, Christ in the House of Mary and Martha. Let's get started. Okay, so this painting, Christ in the House of Mary and Martha. First off, I want to talk about some of the physicality of the painting, and then we'll circle back and talk about the composition and what the story represents and what makes this painting so special in comparison to how other artists have always interpreted this story from the New Testament. So first off, this painting is gigantic in relationship to the typical painting that Vermeer created. It is 63 inches tall by 56 inches wide. So that's 5'3" by 4'8". The figures are life size or greater than life size. And with that, the painting technique that Vermeer employed in this painting is a little bit different than what we have come to understand and identify as Vermeer's painting technique. However, he still used a lot of his methodology in this just on a grander scale. So I want to talk about now the parable. So there's in the New Testament, the parable of Christ in the House of Mary and Martha is a story about where Martha, when Christ came to visit Mary and Martha, Mary was so captivated by him that she sat and rested and listened to all of she basked in the glow of Jesus, and she listened to him and just, did not pay attention to, say, the household chores that needed to be done in preparation for hosting a guest over, where Martha was very focused on the household things, getting the meal together, maybe sweeping and cleaning up. And Martha actually kind of complains about it, and Jesus rebukes her. And traditionally, this painting is also, traditionally, a lot of other artists would present this story, this parable, a little differently. And they would really juxtapose, like, Martha being separated from Mary and Jesus, and she would often be surrounded by worldly items, be it a broom, household supplies, a bouquet, just, so in a way, this painting or this parable is often also equated to the juxtaposition between, are you spiritually engaged in the temporal world, or are you spiritually engaged in the worldly goods, or are you contemplative, or are you focused on activity? And in this painting, Vermeer actually does, in my opinion, a great job of taking that parable and turning it and interpreting it in a very unique way, in that Martha is not excluded. She's actually very engaged in the contemplative role that Mary and Jesus have. And she has entered, yes, she is still more actively involved, but to hold your religious faith, be it predominantly like Vermeer was new to Catholicism. He had recently converted. You can have your faith could be adapted with both the active part of worship and also the contemplative part of worship. And he did a really great job of just incorporating that too. And what I want to point out also is the symbolicness of the fact that Martha has brought just a single loaf of bread to the table, which in a way symbolizes the Eucharist. So it's a wonderful painting, and it's a wonderful interpretation of this traditional New Testament parable or story. now I want to talk about the actual painting and the nitty gritty of it. And also we'll look at the composition too. So first of all, I want to talk about, like, this is a big painting, life size. It's linen, and it's a decently tight weave. It has a double ground consisting of chalk white bound in protein, and then also has a red earth layer tone to it. Let's look here. If we zoom in, some of that red earth underpainting, the tone, is still seen in certain areas, like right there, it's seen where Vermeer only glazed on top of it slightly. So you can see a lot of the underpainting that he used and to set up this painting, and it's big. And he used probably flats. If you look at the quality of the brushstrokes, they come across as kind of blocky. The quality of light is still really strong. There's numerous, examples of where he painted wet and wet. And just some really delicate paint passages. But at the same time, you can see that Vermeer had really good skill. Let's go back and get large. One thing that, like, for example, the colors do not always represent what we typically think of Vermeer as well, in that we have purple, and this blue is not, say, his typical ultramarine blue, but instead it is a blue that is mixed with indigo, smalt, which smalt is pulverized cobalt blue glass, and lead white. And so you get that more denim color too. It won't be as bright and clear as an ultramarine blue. This is a wonderful pyramidal composition again. And the pyramid falls off the side, which I think enables a more expansive sense of, like, it's that composition. Yes, they are a trio and they are a complete unit, but because that pyramidal composition falls off and falls off the edge of the format of the picture plane, it gives us like a doorway, an invitation that we too can converse with this composition. It is thought that this was probably a commission that Vermeer was commissioned to create. So that's, with that, he may not have had 100% creative control. This is very early in his career. It's circa 1655. And so there's a lot to be said about that. Now, oftentimes I like to also, this is just a very generalized way of looking at composition, but what I wanted to point out is, look how centrally focused the bread is for the Eucharist. However, look at how important Vermeer placed the benediction, the hand in benediction of Christ, smack in the middle of that composition. It just really creates really strength in that pose, in the grace of it. Now, like I had said, that we have this strong pyramidal composition, but then we also have an inverted triangle as well, which that creates an even stronger unity of Jesus, Mary, and Martha. It's a beautiful painting. It's going to be fun to really look at this painting and then go on and compare it to his more mature works. But for an early painting, it is very evocative. And one thing that that I've read about is that because we do not have many early period paintings of Vermeer, that potentially he may have done more paintings like this. We just don't know about it because there's only 35 paintings of Vermeer known in the world. So yeah, so that is Christ in the House of Mary and Martha.